Someone clip that. That was great. Hi everyone, Clefo here with a topic I've wanted to talk about for a while, but have never gotten around to doing so. And now that the question has once again popped up in my Discord, I felt it relevant to make a video on this topic. The topic I want to talk about in question is about artifacts, and more of a general guideline on who to farm sets for, when, and why. And do it in a manner that provides information that will benefit both new and existing players alike. To preface this, I won't be talking about the resin cost per artifact, the math behind them, why plus 16 sets are generally the best price to performance, mainly because Jinjinx from Jinjinx and Tuner has made a video about it already, and if you haven't seen it, it's a pretty good watch. I'll leave the link in the description to the TLDR of the video, but if you do want to fully watch it, it does contain a lot of very useful information. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean I agree with everything said in the video, and I personally feel that following it 100% to the T isn't the way to have fun playing this game, but the information it provides is highly beneficial to know in making informed decisions on where best to spend your resin. Now, before I go into details on exactly who to gear, when, and why, I need to go over something else. I have personally been using terms for my teams that might not yet be known to the community, however I find them very beneficial when making generalist statements about specific team compositions. And they are universal blanket statements, so the common terms currently used, such as carry, healer, and burst DPS, do fit within them. As such, I do feel it best if I give a brief overview of the 3 different roles that I will be using in this video, what exactly they mean for your team composition, and give you a brief understanding of particular characters that come to mind when we talk about them. The 3 roles, or terms, that we will be talking about are pivot, chainer, and deployer. The pivot role is usually the most important role of the 3, as they are the central backbone of your team. A pivot's role is to be the unit you swap to either during times of downtime or during times of being enabled by other units. Pivots tend to be of 2 separate varieties that are not mutually exclusive to each other, but better defines their specific job within a team. These specifically are Type A and Type S. A Type A pivot is one who has high, consistent damage over longer periods of time, and usually have strong normal attacks. They excel in teams that focus on enhancing the damage the pivot brings, or using the pivot to fill in for longer periods of the team's downtime. A Type S pivot is one who typically has really short cooldowns, or is otherwise able to bring large surges of damage to bear over short periods of time with little downtime in between. These types excel more in teams that synergistically like faster swap periods between its members. For some examples, Klee and Razor are strong examples of Type A's. Bennett and Albedo, with his double Lotus technique, are the most common Type S units, with Kaching and Diluc being capable examples of units that can fit as either type. Note, in team comps that don't have a traditional pivot-like character, that team's particular pivot is the one who has the highest DPS while using their normal attacks. Such examples could be Fischl with her Constellation 1, or Xiangling with Crescent Pike equipped. Chainers are a little more straightforward in what they bring to the table and give to the team. A chainer is a unit that deals damage, usually through their skill and burst, and has a short to medium length average cooldown. Chainers, as units, are typically the ones that enable you to link swap chains together within your team. They typically also enable more damage than they themselves bring to the table in a 1+1 scenario through buffs, debuffs, or reactions. Characters that come to mind as common chainers are Chongyun, Kaya, Mona, and Sucrose, though any Animo character counts with a Viridescent Veneer set. Deployers are the easiest to understand of the bunch. They have long-lasting skills and bursts, which deal damage even after the caster has swapped off the field. On top of that, they typically are used to not only provide this overlapping DPS, but are also great at fueling reactions for the rest of your team. Albedo, Fischl, and Zhongling are strong examples of full deployers, with Beidou, Kaya, and Xingqiu being strong examples of chainer deployer hybrids. There are some further nuances with the roles that I won't get into now, as it will run the video into overtime and isn't very needed to get the basic understanding across. The roles are also, again, much more of a team-building system than a character designation system, so the terms are very much umbrella terms. The current community terms, such as carries, healers, and burst supports, fit under these roles. The relevance of me covering this will show itself as we move on to the main topic, which surprisingly makes for an excellent segue. Now, for farming artifacts, there are generally 3 stages: pre-Adventure Rank 45, post-Adventure Rank 45, and Artifact Hell. For those pre-Adventure Rank 40, you should be looking to invest in any good 4-star artifacts you find. Good 4-star artifacts come with 3 substats at +0, and have good substats for a particular character you are looking to build. Good 4-star artifacts are usable well into the endgame of Genshin, or at least the current version as of making this video, version 1.2. If you are post-Adventure Rank 40, but pre-Adventure Rank 45, you should be following the previous guidelines, plus, if you have a team of 8 characters, at least Ascension 4, then you should be starting to farm your artifacts in earnest, using your daily resin to farm, at least once a day. Even if doing so does not net you any usable artifacts, the artifacts you do acquire will be extremely valuable in leveling the good ones you do get post-Adventure Rank 45. Note, using fragile resin here can lead to regret, as you are not guaranteed 5-star artifact pieces. Because of this, it is my recommendation to wait until Adventure Rank 45 to use your fragile resin for the best return on that resin, but it's up to you. The first set you should be farming for is a Viridescent Veneer set, or VV set. It does not even need to be a good set of artifacts, you just need 4 pieces for the 4-piece set bonus. The 4-piece set bonus alone provides a massive damage buff for your team. Most enemies in the game have about a 10% resistance to elemental damage, and swirling with the VV set reduces that by 40%. Now do note, Genshin does have a system that halves the effectiveness of resistances below 0%. It still nets in a massive damage spike. Starting at dealing 90% effective damage, shredding with a VV set bonus brings that up to a total of 115% effective damage dealt. Going from dealing 90% damage to 115% damage nets you a 27.78% damage increase of that element. All for having just 4 random pieces of an artifact set on an Animo unit. And that is on a 10% resistance enemy. If they had 40% resistance, that would be a 40% damage increase. It is the most busted support set in the game. Hell, it might even be the most busted set in the game, period. Rant over. After you get a Viridescent Veneer set, follow the same advice as post AR45, or wait, it's up to you. Once you are post Adventure Rank 45, you are going to start your artifact farm in full force, using up all your fragile resin to farm your team's sets and artifacts up to as strong as you can make them. All artifacts, both 4-star and 5-star, should only be leveled to +16 until all 8 of your main team units have full +16 sets. Again, Jink's video goes into more detail as why this is the case, but you can generally get about 2 plus 16 artifact sets for the same cost as 1 plus 20 artifact set. And Genshin Impact is a team game. Having two characters performing at 80% of their total capability almost always nets a larger DPS return than having one at 100% and then another one only at about 25%. A lot of what a unit is capable of is locked behind having leveled artifacts. As for who you should be farming artifacts for, this is where the roles I talked about previously come in very handy. You should focus first on picking a character that you are going to use as a pivot. As they are the pivot, they will be the core member in the majority of the teams you make with them included, and you will find major benefit in getting them their artifact set first. From there, you should then farm up 2 or 3 deployers or chainers of your choice, so that you can form an overworld team that synergizes well with each other. You should then repeat this process, selecting new units of different elements and functionalities to diversify your roster, allowing your team building to be more flexible. You should do this until you have at least 8 units geared with their wanted sets. To know what to farm per character, do reach out at my Discord, where we have many people who are knowledgeable on who wants what set and why. Once you have at least 8 units, all fully geared with their respective sets. No, they do not all have to be plus 16 at this point, but they do have to be at a point where you would like to have them plus 16. You can then move on to the longest phase of artifact farming in Genshin Impact, because it's endless. Artifact Hell is where every player of Genshin who finds themselves staying long enough to have a fully geared roster of at least 8 units finds themselves. Now, unless you were lucky enough to win the lottery twice, while surviving being struck by lightning and attacked by a shark at the same time, not one of your 8 geared units is going to have a near-perfect artifact set. You most likely have a set marred by some HP or defense or other stat you would rather not have on their particular set. Your next goal is to, one by one, farm artifact domains to find upgrades to pieces you already have on the units you have geared, or find brand new pieces for new units while you're searching. These two proponents generally happen at the same time, because multiple units can utilize the same set. Either way, you will be grinding a lot, though as a side benefit to this, when you do find a replacement piece to a unit you already have geared, the old piece can be used as a hand-me-down, or as a very quick and efficient means of giving that new piece a major turbo boost. It is here you will stay, completely bound to the fickle master known as RNGesus. Once you start this artifact hell grinding process, searching for upgrades of pieces to new units, you should first be looking for upgrades to pieces for your pivot characters. At this point, you should have at least 2 pivot characters, if not more, already geared. Pivots are typically where you will see the best net returns on grinding for new upgraded artifact pieces, versus finding new upgrades to deployers or chainers that you happen to have in your party. However, that isn't always the case, and is very much the case of it depends based off of how bad the substats are versus how good the substats are on the new piece of gear you found. If you have any further questions over who you should be farming for next, again, hit up my Discord and we can help you out there to the best of our abilities. In conclusion, I don't really have a conclusion, since other than a Viridescent Veneer set, what sets we need to farm are dependent on which characters we use, and are inherently subjective. The most I could hope to give you, as a viewer, is a general guideline on how I, personally, approach farming for artifacts for my team members. As always, I hope what I have presented to you here today has been informative and has brought you some idea on what it is you want to do with your artifact farming habits and patterns. Any further questions can be asked in the comments down below, or at my Discord. For future updates as to what is happening with new videos, you can follow me on Twitter at CleefulF, and I also have a Twitch where I stream 2 to 3 times a week. You can find me there at twitch.tv/CleefulFrames. I should be streaming today live at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, or about 5 to 6 hours after this video goes live, where I will be doing Abyss, taking a blind look at the new floors, and potentially doing tier lists. As always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell icon beside it so you don't miss out on the future videos I produce. The next one is either going to be on the crit math video or to start the elemental reactions video series. I'm the Cleeful Frame Counter, and thank you very much for watching.